claiming the deity was on their side. The inscription was first printed on a 2-cent coin in 1864, then added to other pieces of currency. In July 1955, President Dwight Eisenhower signed a law passed by Congress that required the words "In God We Trust" to appear on every dollar. 2 years later, it was adopted as the national motto, replacing E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one. On October 1st, 1957, the first bills bearing the inscription of God were circulated among the public. The presidential embrace of religion was a direct response to the growing Cold War. Soviet dictator Nikita Khrushchev had recently launched a brutal crackdown on Christians and Jews across the USSR. Said Eisenhower after signing the legislation, quote, "In this way, we are reaffirming the transcendence of religious faith in America's heritage and future. In this way, we shall constantly strengthen those spiritual weapons, which forever will be our country's most powerful resource in peace and war," unquote. Well, not all Americans agreed. The New York Times criticized the action as a violation of the U.S. Constitution. While many religious leaders praised the motto, others claimed Jesus would not want the word God to appear on money. And here's something else you might not know. Other countries have their own national creed on the currency. Afghanistan, there is no God but Allah. Belgium, unity makes strength. China, long live the People's Republic. South Africa, unity through diversity. Back in a moment. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty, listen up. Car Shield, as a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan, is now available to the public. You can save out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-881-0365 for a free quote. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote. 800-881-0365. 800-881-0365. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-881-0365. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A government shutdown continues as both Democrats and Republicans blame each other for the impasse. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer accuses Republicans of trying to bully his party.
Donald Trump and Republicans have barreled us into a shutdown because they refuse to protect Americans' health care.
While Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the Democrats have trapped themselves by opposing the House's clean resolution, continuing to avert a shutdown.
This could have been avoided. It's totally unavoidable. And everybody's now asking the question, how does this end? Well, it ends when the Senate Democrats pick this bill up, passed by the House of Representatives, and vote for it.
Another vote to end the shutdown failed today. Tomorrow marks the annual Bring Your Bible Day, sponsored nationally by Colorado Springs-based Focus on the Family. In wake of the recent murder of Charlie Kirk, spokesman Emerson Collins feels the annual event reminds people to honor the freedoms we enjoy in America.
First being our freedom in Christ, that Christ came, he lived, he died, he rose again, and we can have freedom from sin and death. That's a freedom worth celebrating. The second most important freedom we can have in this life is our freedom of speech here in the United States of America. I encourage everyone everywhere to bring their Bible with them wherever they go on October 2nd this year and be a light for Christ and administer the healing balm of the gospel to our culture and our nation that so desperately needs it, especially right now.
Emerson Collins adds that he hopes people will bring their Bibles with them tomorrow in schools, universities, and in workplaces as well. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average up by 43 points. The Nasdaq rose 95. More on these stories at townhall.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, everything you need and nothing you don't.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Despite the warm to hot days, it's another mild night, waking up to low 62, some outlying areas into the 50s, but it heats up quickly yet again. Another hot day with a high of 88 degrees, not too humid, partly cloudy skies, very slim chance by late day and evening for a little spot shower. It's nice to hear that in the forecast because we need the rain, but it would be very tiny. Most won't see any rain, no real significant relief there. And then Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 88 degrees. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here? As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
One of the things that Republicans are also doing, and they're doing in the White House press briefing room, is the running sound of Democrats talking about shutdowns in the past, including sound of you. This is the type of thing you've said about shutdowns in the past. Let's listen.
What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut the government down? I'm going to not pay our bills unless I get my way. It's a politics of idiocy, of confrontation, of paralysis. Shutting down government over a policy difference is self-defeating. We can never hold American workers hostage again. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
Holy smokes, hope springs eternal. Even CNN calling out Chucky Schumer there for the Schumer shutdown. In addition, they're joined by a chorus of liberal publications, the Washington Post and the New York Times. I can't believe it. I think they know, Chris, that Democrats are going to lose on this one, and their communications departments over at CNN, WAPO, and the New York Times are trying to delay or avoid the damage.
That is correct, Tim. And also, the Chuck Schumer is losing support among his caucus. 3 Democrats voted yesterday to not defund the government. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto from Nevada, Angus King, the independent from Maine, he crossed over. He joined John Fetterman, who didn't vote for the shutdown. And there are 2 more Democrats that people are keeping a look at because they're retiring this year. Senator Jean Shaheen from New Hampshire and Gary Peters of Michigan. They may cross over as well. They need 8 votes in order to pass this in the Senate because Rand Paul is a definite no on everything. So they're going to need 8 votes. This is not good when you have 3, potentially 5 Senate Democrats saying this is a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. Heard Speaker Johnson this morning in his press conference saying that 44 individuals are holding up the government from functioning. I'm assuming he meant the 44 U.S. senators of the Democrat persuasion, which by my count means that there's 3 or 4 that have indicated their interest in voting for the bill. It's a tyranny of the minority. And what Chuck Schumer has is an Alex from Whitestone problem. That's where AOC is actually from, and that's what she used to go by in high school. She grew up a very wealthy, upper middle class young lady from not from the Bronx, but from Westchester County, one of the wealthiest counties in the country. But she's repackaged herself as Alexandria from the Bronx, and she is now going to be threatening Chuck Schumer for control of today's Democratic Party, which is either going to go back to the party of Clinton and JFK and maybe even Barack Obama, or they're going to go down the path of the socialist squad. That's what he's dealing with.
Yeah, he's got two things that are working against him. One, AOC, she's been threatening to primary him for years now. You know that she won an upset victory to gain her congressional seat. And the Democratic base, they want to fight. They want to fight against Donald Trump. They think that he has been ramrodding them, and they want to see some backbone from their leaders. And so that's the 2 reasons that he's doing this. But as I said and just said, 3 senators voted with the Republicans. 2 are probably looking at joining him. Cortez Masto, she said this. She said, I voted to avoid a costly shutdown that would harm Nevada and hand power to a reckless administration. We should be working on a bipartisan solution to this healthcare crisis, but that doesn't mean we should be shutting down the government. That's Cortez Masto. She is a senator from Nevada. And in a press conference Tuesday night, Schumer couldn't guarantee that there wouldn't be 60 votes for the GOP bill. So tough sledding there for Chucky there in the Democrats.
And by healthcare crisis, the Democrats mean not being able to buy votes from illegal aliens. Most of this is about the fact that the Democratic Party in D.C. at least wants to provide free healthcare for illegal aliens. That's most of what they want in a $1.5 trillion ask. I think most Americans' memories are still pretty fresh in remembering what happened the last time we injected $1 trillion or more of printed borrowed money into our economy. The gas prices and the grocery prices and every other price in the country went skyrocketing up. So I think the more that Republicans message hard on this and the more Democrats fight on this, for the first time ever, Republicans could win this battle regarding a government shutdown.
Yeah, and the president has stated often during the potential shutdown that they have a lot of discretion on who to keep, who not to keep, who to furlough. These furloughed workers, 750,000 of them, some of them will not be brought back. They'll be fired permanently. And the administration shot an arrow across the bow of Chuck Schumer today. They froze $18 billion in infrastructure funding for New York. So,
Game on.
they have the power. Republicans have the power.
Yeah, to that point, OMB, Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Voigt said today, the government shutdown is an opportunity. Yeah, that's exactly what the Trump administration is looking at this. Look, none of us want the government to be shut down. It looks weak on the world stage. It makes us look like we can't function. Our enemies and our allies abroad, a lot of them don't want to get involved and could care less about our internal politics. But they do know that the top line message is the United States of America can't keep its government open. So we want to get this back open as soon as possible. On the other hand, Chris, CNN had this countdown clock yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They literally counted down to 0 at midnight last night. And then nothing happened, right? Now, things will eventually start happening that will be harmful to Americans. But the narrative is, oh my gosh, if the federal government isn't open 24/7, 365, most Americans' lives are going to come to a unfortunate end. Well, I would bet that a supermajority of our listening audience and a lot of Americans out here in what they call flyover country on the East and West Coast, their lives didn't change one iota this morning. They went about their business as they always did, and they're not feeling any effects from this at all.
Yeah, the only effects that voters, the Americans, may feel in the coming days and weeks, if it lasts that long, is there may be some slowdowns at the airport with TSA. That's happened in the past. But the things like national parks and being closed and things of that nature, look, we're heading into the fall, winter season. People aren't going to national parks like they would in the summertime. So I think that will not have as much of an impact as well. There's a governor's race in Virginia and in New Jersey that's coming up in November. They've talked to the strategists in both sides in those races, and they're saying that the voters in those two states aren't really showing a lot of concern about a government shutdown. That's not what they're worried about. So that's more bad news for the Democrats, because their whole strategy here is to scare people into thinking that the government needs to be open or they're going to lose all types of services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of those, we'll remind our listeners that although they're not of direct interest to those of us here, there's two really important races going on right now for governor in states that have off-year elections, Virginia and New Jersey. Surprisingly, the New Jersey race continues to tighten. There's been some huge missteps by the Democratic candidate there. The Republican candidate is a pretty darn good candidate by New Jersey measures. And we'll have to keep an eye on that. And maybe we'll get our friend who was on the Newsmax trip with us, Mary Walker, I think.
Walters.
Walters. Yeah. Mary Walters, who is a Newsmax contributor and has her own radio show. She's a New Jerseyan and Mary's a very spicy one at that. Well, maybe I have to have her on to get an update from the ground, boots on the ground look at what's going on in the Garden State.
Yeah, we reported last week that a poll showed the race tied at 43-43. Unfortunately, Fox News has a poll that came out today that shows Mikey Sherrill ahead 50-42. So the race is not as tight, according to Fox News poll, as it was last week. But still, it's something very interesting to look at, especially with this Naval Academy scandal involving Mikey Sherrill. She's being embroiled in that, and that has hurt her standing among New Jersey voters.
Mm-hmm. Democrats are probably, it's at the very least, they weren't expecting a race to be this tight. Maybe the Republican can pull it off. Maybe they can't, but they're having to probably pour a lot more resources into New Jersey than they were expecting to during this off cycle. And I think Kentucky, not a battleground, but could be making some history with some of its races as well.
Yeah, black governor
this year. U.S. Senator.
U.S. Senator.
Yeah, Daniel Cameron. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. All of those contests will be, can you believe it, barely a month away. Welcome to October 1st, the October 1st edition of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Can you believe it's October? It is indeed.
Crazy.
4:15 in the PM. Central Daylight Time, which we're quickly running out of. We got about another month of, less than a month of that as well. Zack Smith joining us at 4:25. YouTube, another successful civil litigation contest by the Trump administration, or by Donald Trump himself individually. YouTube has agreed to pay Donald Trump $24 million. We'll ask Zack about that settlement and about the ongoing Lisa Cook saga. She's the embattled Fed governor who is in all sorts of trouble, I think, for having multiple residences and maybe an allegation of mortgage fraud as well.
And also, I want to ask him about a new poll that has come out on the standing of the Supreme Court. We get his thoughts on that. And a lot of cases are coming, or a lot of people are asking the Supreme Court to rule on ending campaign spending restrictions on coordinated expenditures. A bunch of the White House and a bunch of Republican groups are calling for that. We'll ask Zack Smith at 4:25 about that.
Chris, what will you be discussing with our listeners in Chris's Corner at 4:45?
Simon & Schuster has a report on Kamala Harris's book sales. We'll update you on that, and a rare redistricting win for Democrats.
Indeed. Speaker stump speech at 5:07. Democrats shout fascist while they themselves behave like brown shirts. Great article in the Washington Times that I want to talk about. Basically, it's kind of a play on what Vic and Ken always talk about. Everything Democrats say, the opposite is true. The Ed Stoit principle, the Washington Times pointing out that that's very true when it comes to these allegations of Antifa versus fascist. Who are the real fascists amongst us? Well, they're actually on the left. At 5:25, by the way, folks, you never want to miss any segments of our program, but we're going to have a jam-packed 5 o'clock hour. Get the Speaker stump speech at 5:07. Mark Sutherland will be joining us. Joey, in studio or on the telephone?
He better be in studio.
On the telly.
I got questions I got to ask him about the logistics of our live remote at his place over there in Defiance.
Chris,
I got to find out if they have outlets out there.
I don't know if they have electricity or not, Joey. It may be oil burning lamps.
Well, we'll have hamsters on a wheel or something. Keep them running.
Chris, Joey, and I heading out to Stone Ledge Distillery on Friday. If you believe the weather forecast, it promises to be a gorgeous evening. So come out and visit us. Come out to beautiful Defiance, Missouri, the Stone Ledge Distillery, just right down Highway 94, just south of Interstate 6440. We have been there. I've been there a couple times recently. Nick Schroer had his kickoff event there. It's a cool joint. It features the Stone Ledge Distillery itself. And Chris, check this out. The Churchill Cigar Room. Sounds like a great place.
Yes, I was in England over the summer, and I went to Churchill's underground bunker, and I picked up some actual Churchill cigars at the museum.
We'll be talking Stolock whiskey and Inversion vodka. We'll be talking about how this Stone Ledge Distillery came to being. Talk about all of Mark's interests all across the state of Missouri. The fact that he's the honorary consul of the UK to Missouri, and the fact that Joey wants to know how he gets one of these direct flights to London coming out of St. Louis that was just announced.
Yeah, I think they're $600 and they start next year. But
That's
if
not
he
bad
can
price.
be my tour guide, that's not a bad price.
$600. Is that round trip or is that one way?
I'm going to ask him. I think he knows everything about British Airways.
Don't get stuck over there with Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, indeed. And Chris, at 5:45, we're going to speak to a very, very important and special friend of the show.
Yes, Dr. Alan Link of the Dental Link. You hear me often talk about many dental implants and the great service they offer over at the Dental Link in Manchester. Currently, as we speak, my wife and my father-in-law, they're at the office. My father-in-law, this is his very first visit, so he's getting the work up, and maybe Dr. Link is working on him now and have to leave and come over and speak with us at 5:45. So Dr. Link is a great guy. I love talking to him. I've never thought in my life that I would say I look forward going to the dentist, but I actually do. He's a fantastic gentleman and a great dentist as well.
Well, look, the healthcare providers will tell you that they can tell a lot about your overall health from your eyes and from your mouth. From your eyes and your mouth. Those are kind of gateways into your body. And I know the optometrists and the ophthalmologists tell you that they can tell a lot from like the pressure of your eyes and all that. And the dentists often tell you they can tell a lot about your cardiovascular health and your health in general by how your teeth and your gums are doing.
I've had my optometrist tell me that I had kind of a blue streak around my iris, and supposedly that means that you have high cholesterol.
Ooh.
And your dental health is very important, because if you have lingering plaque in your mouth, that plaque could break off and get into your heart and affect your heart, which I had no idea about that till I started going to Dr. Link and him talking to me about it.
Hopefully we're encouraging and not discouraging
Yes.
people from going to their healthcare providers. But yeah, it's very important to keep your teeth and your eyes and your overall health up. And that's why we talk a lot about Dental Link and Comprehensive Chiropractic and all the other great healthcare providers that we have supporting our show every single day. Well, as you heard, Joey V is here today. Joey, you always worry me when you have a collared button-down shirt on. Hopefully there's not going to a funeral or anything, are you?
Nice shirt too.
No, it just had the best smelling armpits of all the shirts I still had hanging up.
Okay, very good. Joey, looking
Did
very
your girl
dapper.
iron that for you too? It's got a
dapper.
crease down the sleeve too. It
This
looks like it's
is
been ironed.
The J.C. Penney line of wrinkle-free travel shirts.
Maybe
I never
Ethan,
ironed.
Maybe Ethan can get them as a sponsor of the show. He's pretty amazing if you tell him who to go for, you know?
Oh, yeah, there's a J.C. Penney next to the county Republican office over there in Gravois Bluffs. I think we can get them and Friar Tucks together. We can have a party.
We could.
I did not know that.
Indeed. 4:22 in the PM. That was a fast first segment. We've got another awesome one coming up that features Zack Smith talking about the YouTube settlement with President Trump and what the Supreme Court has said regarding Lisa Cook and so much more. You're going to want to get all the legal news updates next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Despite the warm to hot days, it's another mild night, waking up to low 62, some outlying areas into the 50s. But it heats up quickly yet again. Another hot day with a high of 88 degrees. Not too humid, partly cloudy skies. Very slim chance by late day and evening for a little spot shower. It's nice to hear that in the forecast because we need the rain, but it would be very tiny. Most won't see any rain. No real significant relief there. And then Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 88 degrees. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter.
Hey, everybody, it's your buddy Todd Showalter. Join me and my buddy Joey V for The Right Mind Show when we put the fun in our dysfunctional world.
The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday evenings at 5 on News Talk STL.
Hey, head out to the Hideout tonight. It's going to be a glorious evening all over the region here in the Heartland. The Hideout can be found 24/7 at hideoutsportsbar.com or on Facebook. Just punch in Hideout Sports Bar. It'll come up as well. Established in 2022, Rick Pogue, Jake Kestner, they have a gem there in northern Jefferson County, not far from anywhere in the St. Louis region, merely 10 minutes from the intersection of 270 and Gravois. It's a fantastic spot up there on the hill, on the bluffs. Beautiful compound, awesome complex. Inside 5,000 square feet on warm days like this of beautiful air-conditioned space. They've got multiple rooms inside. It's open, it's airy, it's bright, it's freshly renovated. It's got 50 big screen TVs. The best food and the coldest drinks around. My mouth's starting to water because I'm telling you what I'm going to tell you. They got the grilled chicken wrap, grilled buffalo chicken wrap, absolutely divine. Had it last week when I was out there. The crack fries are awesome. They've got the Dave's chili. They got new potato skins that are absolutely delicious. They got the pizza, ingredients from the hill. I'm telling you, the Hideout's got the best food around. The coldest drinks outside. Another 5,000 square feet of play space that features the Sunset Stage, the Sunset Patio, where you can watch the sunset literally go down right over the hillsides. Absolutely fantastic. The Cattleman's Grill, the train station bar, and so much more. There was a band out there last weekend after we did our live remote. I think it was Dazed and Confused. Huge crowd, great sound, and just a gorgeous evening under the stars. Check them out 24/7, like I said, at hideoutsportsbar.com, Hideout Sports Bar on Facebook, hideoutsportsbar.com. Head out to the Hideout, and we'll see you there.
Connor Roofing, you can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a two-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
Hey DIY warriors, ready to transform your outdoor space? Start with Lee May Concrete Block, St. Louis's trusted family-owned manufacturer since 1947. Whether you're building a retaining wall, creating a backyard fireplace, or pouring concrete, Lee May's got you covered. From compact blocks to large cast concrete, they provide materials and professional guidance to bring your vision to life. Military and first responders get special discounts. Visit Lee May Block Showroom or LeeMayBlock.com. Lee May Block, building your dream one block at a time.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
We're back with some breaking news on President Trump's attempt to fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. The Supreme Court is allowing Cook to stay on the job, at least temporarily, while the legal fight plays out. The justices have agreed to hear oral arguments on this issue in January, adding another high-stakes case to what is shaping up to be another consequential term.
427 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, and there you hear Lisa Cook has gotten sort of a reprieve. Let's see what our next guest has to think about that and more.
Oh, it's all perfectly legal. You are out of order. You're out of order. You're out of order. The whole trial is out of order.
Zack Smith, legal fellow with the Heritage Foundation.
You know, I ask you a lot of predictions. Can you predict what the Supreme Court probably will do with this action?
Zach, happy hump day. How are you, my friend?
I am doing well, Chris. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. I'm speaking to you, so can't get any better than that.
Well, most people view that as a punishment, Chris, but I appreciate it. I'll take it.
All right, Zach. You heard we came in with that report. Lisa Cook is going to remain at the Federal Reserve. Oral arguments are set for the case in January. I guess the basic question is why wasn't something ruled now, and why are they putting it off?
Yeah, it's a great question, Chris, and I don't have a satisfactory answer for you. Look, I think to me it's clear that Lisa Cook's ability to continue to serve is very much in question. Keep in mind, the way this case has been teed up is slightly different than some of the other cases, and many of the other cases where President Trump is trying to remove individuals from office. He's invoking his core Article 2 powers under the Constitution, saying that regardless of what the statute says, I have the power as president to hire and fire whom I please to help me execute my duties as president. In Lisa Cook's case, one of the main arguments that President Trump has made is that she violated the statutory provisions, that he has cause to remove her from office because of the alleged fraudulent mortgage application. And so that is a little bit different. But look, I was very disappointed by this ruling from the Supreme Court today. I am happy to see that the court is taking this case on an expedited basis and is agreeing to hear it. But we will have to wait and see what happens when the justices hear this case in January.
Indeed. Zach, there was Donald Trump is the results have been mixed with the Trump administration's litigation, but Donald Trump's racking up a string of victories of settlements and otherwise on his individual cases that he's bringing. Apparently, YouTube, the latest big tech company to admit that it was doing something that we all accused it of, that originally said it had no idea what we were talking about. They've agreed to pay Trump $24 million over his suspended account. Zach, that was a really big deal at the time. And now nobody on the left wants to talk much about it, do they?
Yeah, of course not. Look, I think we all remember the censorship that took place over the past several years against conservative commentators. I certainly remember when the Hunter Biden laptop story was censored on then Twitter, now X. The New York Post had their account suspended for simply reporting the facts surrounding it, which, by the way, turned out to be, by and large, factually accurate. It wasn't fake news, as they claimed at the time, or disinformation, or whatever they were calling it. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Tim. Look, there was a coordinated effort to censor conservative voices in social media, online, for many years. And now it seems to have been memory hold, except for the extent many of these companies are now having to settle these types of claims.
Speaking with Zack Smith, senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Zack, a federal judge, a Reagan appointee in Boston, has said the Trump administration used a threat of deportations to systematically intimidate certain campaign demonstrators into silence. So if I read this correctly, that means that even if you are a guest in this country and you're here on a visa, is your freedom of speech and assembly, is that curtailed in any type of way? Can you threaten other students and make them feel unsafe on campus?
Well, I would certainly think you can. And look, I think it's important to distinguish, Chris. Obviously, if you're in our country, if you simply voice your opinions, you can't be criminally prosecuted for that. However, if you voice opinions like you want to overthrow the United States while you are a government of the United States, while you're a guest here in our country, your visa can certainly be revoked and you can be deported because of that harmful threat that you're making. The other thing you're not allowed to do, as you were alluding to, Chris, is you're not allowed to threaten someone. You're not allowed to make it impossible for other students, other members of the community to go to school, to go to their jobs, to take ordinary actions in their everyday lives. Now, I haven't had a chance to read this voluminous opinion from this district court judge in Massachusetts. It was a little odd in some respects. He started out with quoting like a note someone had sent him, posted a facsimile of it in the opinion. It was very odd. The other thing I would say, I keep hearing that this was a Reagan appointee, and that's true so far as it goes. But keep in mind, at the time this judge was appointed, there were Democratic senators in Massachusetts. Tip O'Neill was the Speaker of the House from Massachusetts. And so often political deals are cut to get appointees on the bench. And so even though this judge is a Reagan appointee, I suspect he is not particularly conservative, especially when you consider that he waited until Joe Biden was back in office before deciding to take senior status.
Good point.
Mm-hmm. Zack, I noticed on your Twitter feed at TZ Smith that you have found yet another unfortunate example of the fact that apparently today's law school university campuses are where free speech goes to die, something that you thought would be the exact opposite. Zack, I know that when I was in law school, we had very passionate arguments on all kinds of issues and all kinds of symposiums and all kinds of viewpoints, and you probably had the same experience. Well, Zack, after saying at first they would allow Ilya Shapiro to appear as part of a Federalist Society event, NYU has decided that no, not all viewpoints are welcome on their campus. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, that's right. Look, this is breaking news, so I only know what's been reported so far. But Ilya Shapiro, who's obviously a well-known conservative commentator, has been involved in public life for many years now, has written several great books on the state of law school education in the United States. He was invited to give a talk on October 7th. Now, of course, you may remember October 7th is when the horrific attack in Israel and took place several years ago. Ilya is Jewish, and so he was going to come and speak in NYU on the anniversary of the October 7th attacks. And what essentially happened is NYU is now saying that they cannot provide adequate security. They cannot make sure that the event will be safe, and because of that, they have canceled it. Now, here's the problem with that, Tim. That's what is known under First Amendment law as a heckler's veto. Essentially, it's the idea that by threatening someone, by threatening violence, that the heckler can essentially silence free speech. And certainly public universities have an obligation to make sure that a heckler's veto is not allowed to silence free speech concerns. And certainly, I think New York University itself should make sure they hire adequate security, a lot of security, to make sure that the attendees and Ilya and others are safe and secure at the event. But they should certainly take the steps to make sure that this event can safely proceed instead of letting those who are threatening violence and intimidation ultimately be successful.
Zach, last week, the Supreme Court gave President Trump the go-ahead to withhold $4 billion in foreign aid that was previously appropriated by Congress. Does this set a precedent for pocket rescissions?
Well, it's certainly going to continue to be a debated subject, I'm sure. Obviously, there's pocket rescissions are a hotly contested issue. But look, the ground has shifted somewhat. We're now in a government shutdown. Russ Vought, who's the head of the OMB, is exercising a lot more authority now in terms of helping to decide what programs will remain open, what programs will remain functional, simply because Congress has delegated more authority to the executive branch during a government shutdown to make some of those types of decisions. So stay tuned. I think budgeting, kind of how the allocation of the budget plays out, all of that is going to be top of mind, I suspect, at least through the middle of next week.
Zach, our governor, Mike Kehoe, got involved in the national discussion regarding using National Guard in conjunction with ICE activities. And there was an announcement made yesterday that the Missouri National Guard would be assisting ICE agents in carrying out their duties. Hasn't been a lot of blowback here, maybe because we haven't had any made for primetime TV incidences yet, and hopefully we don't have any. But right. Zach, is that an appropriate role for the National Guard, and is this how it's supposed to work? Where a governor works hand in hand in tandem with the federal government, utilizing National Guardsmen and women and in a supporting role such as this?
Well, look, it's certainly not ideal, Tim. I think we can all acknowledge that in an ideal situation, local officials, local police departments would be adequately staffed to be able to protect the members of their communities. But because of the policy failures that have taken place in many left-leaning Democratic cities around the country, you're now seeing governors, you're now seeing the president having to step in and try to correct for those policy failures. And so in that instance, yes, it is appropriate for a governor to step in and take actions to protect the citizens of their states. And keep in mind, when you have National Guard members serving under the state authority, they have broader leeway to help enforce laws, to help make sure that communities can remain safe. But look, fundamentally, what needs to happen is many of these blue cities need to recommit to making sure they adequately fund their police departments, to making sure they adequately recruit and retain police officers, and then empower them to go onto the streets and effectively and responsibly do their jobs.
Zach, I want to get your thoughts on this new Gallup poll on the Supreme Court. 43% of U.S. adults say the Supreme Court is too conservative. 42% of Americans approve of the high court's job right now. And there's a 49% approval of the judiciary in general. Get your thoughts on that. And then Justice Amy Coney Barrett, she has said that the reason why she's reluctant to explain her recusals is because of threats against judges' loved ones.
Right. Well, I would want to know more about the poll, Chris. I'm very skeptical of polls these days, knowing the sampling, how the pollsters have weighted it, because I think we saw that in the last election cycle, that a lot of pollsters were less than forthcoming with exactly what their polls were saying. But look, I think there is generally skepticism of the judiciary, particularly lower federal courts these days. We've seen time and time again federal judges overstepping their authority, issuing absurd rulings that they often don't have the power to issue. We saw a number of federal judges talking on background to an NBC reporter not that long ago. That was a breach of judicial ethics, a very unprecedented move for many of these lower federal court judges to make. And so I think there needs to be a general understanding that, unfortunately, today, too often lower federal court judges are stepping outside of their lane. They're trying to make policy decisions when they should be simply doing their job, trying to fairly and impartially adjudicate the disputes in front of them. Now, in terms of the Supreme Court, the threats that those justices are facing in particular, yes. Keep in mind, we had an armed man show up in front of Justice Brett Kavanaugh's home several years ago, threatening him. There have been numerous other threats against the other judges and justices. So I can certainly understand Justice Barrett's reluctance to put other friends and family members in any more danger.
Zach, it's October now. I believe the Supreme Court starts heading back into action. Any thoughts, ideas, clues as to some of the early cases they might be taking up? And are any of them going to make headlines when the oral arguments are held?
Well, I will put in a shameless plug, Tim.
Please do.
Tune in tomorrow at heritage.org at noon Eastern. I'm going to host a Supreme Court preview where we're going to talk about all of this for an entire hour.
Nice.
I'm going to moderate a panel discussion with Professor Chad Squitieri at Catholic University and James Burnham, who's the former general counsel of Doge. They're going to come over and talk about this. We're going to talk about the emergency docket, the number of cases we're seeing there. We're going to talk tariffs. We're going to talk the potential overruling of a case called Humphrey's Executor, which said in the 1930s that the president can't fire certain so-called independent agency commissioners. We're going to talk about that. There's a couple of criminal law, Fourth Amendment cases on the docket. And then one of the ones that could have a very big impact electorally going forward is one called Louisiana versus Calais, where the court's going to be asked to decide essentially is Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act unconstitutional? Does it violate the Equal Protection Clause? Then, of course, there's important First Amendment, religious liberty cases, Childs versus Salazar. Can the state mandate that Christian counselors affirm, can they require them to affirm a transgender individual's chosen sex over their biological sex, even when that violates the Christian counselor's own faith, their own religious beliefs? I think the answer is no, but several states have taken the other position. There's campaign finance cases and a whole lot more we're going to talk about. So again, tune in tomorrow at noon Eastern on heritage.org for our annual Supreme Court.
Zach, speaking of that campaign finance case, and I was going to ask you about next, the Republican Party, 20 states, and the Chamber of Commerce are urging an end to campaign spending restrictions on coordinated expenditures by the Republican Party and its House and Senate candidates. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's about?
Yeah, so this is a continuation of really the Citizens United case. Obviously in the early 2000s, there was a McCain-Feingold campaign finance reform bill that was put forward. Citizens United said certain aspects of that bill violated free speech. They left other provisions in place and said that, corporations, individuals can spend unlimited amounts of money on their own to promote their own political views and positions, but it left in place pretty onerous coordination restrictions between political parties, candidates, and other entities and individuals. And so what's at issue in this case, the court is being asked to decide is whether some of those coordination restrictions themselves violate the First Amendment. And this will have big implications for the presidential election and even the midterms potentially coming up in 2026, and obviously the presidential election in 2028.
Zach, the time always just goes too quickly, but of course, you're the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. We love talking to you and picking your brain on these legal issues. You can be reached on X at TZSmith and at heritage.org. Thank you, my friend, and we'll speak with you again next Wednesday.
Great talking with you. Take care.
Thank you, sir. All right, Chris's Corner. We're going to talk about Kamala Harris's new book, 107 Days, how it's doing, and a very rare redistricting win for Democrats. We'll have all of that on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
To make me better, I don't need you, doctor. I don't need you, doctor. I don't need you.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Despite the warm to hot days, it's another mild night, waking up to low 62, some outlying areas into the 50s. But it heats up quickly yet again. Another hot day with a high of 88 degrees. Not too humid, partly cloudy skies. Very slim chance by late day and evening for a little spot shower. It's nice to hear that in the forecast because we need the rain, but it would be very tiny. Most won't see any rain. No real significant relief there. And then Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 88 degrees. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
News, analysis, opinion.
National Guard troops posted around the district.
We are removing many criminals from the streets.
I think the president made the right call on it. That's too much. We don't need troops in the city.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Head on over to Comprehensive Chiropractic and Sports Performance. Your body will thank you for it. Truly will indeed. I am living proof of that. I've been a patient of Doctors Fader and Gorman and Benton for nearly 2 decades. Dr. Pat Fader, he's got a gem there in West St. Louis County. Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. You can find them 24/7 at cchiropractic.com. Please check them out. cchiropractic.com. You will be happier. You'll be a happier camper for it. Yes, they have all of the professional chiropractic services there that I have benefited from, as well as my family members and so many of my friends over the years, keeping me upright, keeping me lickety-split, keeping me all in one shape, all heading in the right direction. They also have ways to get you into better shape. They have the Studio Health and Wellness Center upstairs. Beautiful space, by the way. Pilates and yoga studios, big giant skylights. It's really a really tranquil, peaceful, wonderful place with small classes for personal attention. They have licensed massage therapists up there. They got a whole area up there for that as well. And they have the personal training system at Comprehensive Chiropractic at cchiropractic.com. Personal training is not for the rich and the famous only. It's for you. It will make you a better you. They have very affordable plans. And it's kind of to do that holistic makeover. Trust me, I have had so many aches and pains that I have not had to have surgical intervention for. I'm not a healthcare professional, but I want you to go see them. You may benefit so much from Comprehensive Chiropractic as well. I definitely have, and I want you to have the experience I have had. Check them out 24/7 at cchiropractic.com. That's Comprehensive Chiropractic at cchiropractic.com for all your comprehensive healthcare needs.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serve you St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
This December 13th, join Wreaths Across America at Belle Reve Garden Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit newstalkstl.com.
SR1 Sundays.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Kaiser. Be sure and check out my show, Straight Lines, this and every Sunday at 8 p.m., right after Stand and Fight, part of SR1 Sundays. Let's meet right here and let's peel back some layers of this crazy world, and you might be surprised at what we find. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on SR1 Sundays at 8 p.m., right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on News Talk STL.
The Washington Guard presents the 4th annual Patriots Banquet, The Price of Freedom, honoring real American heroes. Join us October 11th at Parish Hall in Union, Missouri. Hear from featured speakers Doug Giles, founder of Warriors and Wild Men, and Marine Colonel Jack Jackson, Harrier jet fighter pilot. Master of Ceremonies Jamie Allman will host this inspiring evening. For tickets, visit thewashingtonguard.com. Use code NewsTalkSTL for $10 off.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Trump says the peace plan is in place for Gaza. Now, will it be accepted?
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
We're at Detroit Metro Airport this morning, and there certainly is a lot of uncertainty concerning this government shutdown. We know that air traffic controllers, they will continue working without pay. The last shutdown was back in 2019. It lasted only 35 days and cost the economy some $3 billion. Now, a coalition of airlines, pilots, controllers, and even manufacturers, they recently sent a letter to Congress warning them about the repercussions of a shutdown. That is because it could force the FAA to suspend hiring and training and could lead to backups.
451 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. And one question that I meant to ask Zack a few minutes ago, Tim, was in a government shutdown, do Supreme Court justices get paid?
Are they essential?
Yeah, really. I wonder.
I don't know the answer to that question. That's a great question indeed.
And we also have had an update on the Des Moines, Iowa superintendent who we discovered is an illegal immigrant. He also kind of fudged on his resume a little bit too, Tim.
You don't say.
He said that he's shocker. He said that he had a doctoral degree from Morgan State University. Come to find out he didn't.
Do you know he's also another infamous Maryland man? He was, what is wrong with Maryland? He was registered. He's been registered to vote in Maryland since 2012.
Is he voting in Maryland elections?
I don't know. I'd have to look, but my Maryland Freedom Caucus people found that out, and they've been blasting the heck out of him. This guy has been all across the country and fooling everybody apparently along the way.
It's amazing. He should be a salesman the way he's fooling people. All right. 524, we're going to speak with Mark Sutherland from the Stone Ledge Distillery. And at 545, my dentist, Dr. Alan Link, will be in the studio with us as well. All right, Joey, let's do a little Carner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
You know, I got to tell you, I was a little surprised by this development today. According to Simon & Schuster, they announced that 107 Days, the book by former Vice President Kamala Harris, has sold 350,000 copies across all formats through its first week, putting her book on a trajectory to be the best-selling memoir published in 2025. I don't think there's been a lot of memoirs in 2025. I don't know what that means. Jonathan Karp, the CEO of Simon & Schuster, said the only memoirs that have had a better first week of sales since 2023 were Britney Spears, Taylor Swift, and Prince Harry. So that's very interesting. Here's a little trivia note. Did you know that Carly Simon, the rock star, that her father started the Simon & Schuster book company?
I didn't know that.
I read that a few weeks ago. But yeah, he was one of the founders of that. And I also talked about a rare redistricting win for the Democrats. The Utah legislature is set to approve a congressional map that could create as many as 2 pickup opportunities for Democrats. Of course, that's a rare win in these redistricting wars. Utah's congressional map currently has 4 solid GOP districts, but the Beehive State is required by a court to implement a new map that follows certain anti-gerrymandering criteria that citizens enshrine into law via ballot initiative. So the Democrats may pick up a couple of seats in Utah. Pope Leo has kind of stayed out of the political fray, but he ended that today. Senator Dick Durbin, Little Dick Durbin, as we call him, who is retiring, he was set to receive an award, a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Catholic Church. But the bishops, local bishops, have had a conniption fit over that. So Durbin has pulled out of the getting out of that award. But Pope Leo, he weighed in on that. Of course, he is from Illinois, from the Chicago area. He said, quote, "People need to consider the overall work a senator has done across many issues related to the teachings of the church." The Pope went on to say, "Someone who says I'm against abortion but is in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life. Someone who says I'm against abortion, but I'm in agreement with the inhuman treatment of immigrants who are in the United States I don't know if that's pro-life. So Pope Pope Leo wading into politics in his home country there. Trump has initiated some more tariffs this morning, which means a 100% tariff on branded or patented pharmaceutical products. There's a 25% tariff on heavy big trucks and a 50% tariff on kitchen cabinets, plus a 30% tariff on upholstered furniture. Those went into effect today. The 100% tariffs are only on pharmaceutical products that are not made in the U.S. That, of course, took effect today. You know, we had a lot of redistricting news. We did it here in Missouri. They've done it in Texas. Indiana and Ohio are considering it. Trump wants to have redistricting done in New Hampshire, but the governor, Kelly Ayotte, is not sounding too favorable on it. President has threatened to primary New Hampshire Governor Kelly Ayotte if she doesn't follow through on a redistricting effort in the Granite State. And as I said, in Indiana, the team is exploring repercussions for Republicans who don't support the remapping effort there in Ohio. So President Trump playing for keeps there. He wants to add these extra seats because, as we know, historically, the party in power loses congressional seats. So we're doing everything that we can to keep Trump in having a majority in the Senate and the House, because we know that if Republicans lose control of the Senate or the House, especially the House, we're going to have investigations out of the yin-yang of Donald Trump. So redistricting, very interesting there. In Utah, Democrats may pick up a couple of seats. President is threatening New Hampshire. The governor should be primaried if they don't go along with that effort. And that is Chris's Corner. Tim, Speaker Stone's speech at 5:07.
We're going to talk about who the true fascists are who walk amongst us.
And then, of course, coming up at 5:24, we'll speak with Mark Sutherland. He is the owner of Stone Ledge Distillery. We're going to talk about that great business and the fine liquors that they sell there. And he is also the honorary consul of the UK to Missouri. So we'll ask him what that's all about. And then we'll speak to my dentist, Dr. Alan Link. He'll be in studio with us. We'll talk about those mini dent plants I've been telling you about for years. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
For treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Jamie Allman here with the Allman Report. Pleased to be with Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. That's what it's all about. Jordan, tell me about purchasing a home, brother.
Purchasing a home right now, it's a tough market. You're going to see a lot of competition. On the bagel loan that we have, you're going to have no closing costs, no title fees, no appraisal fees, no lender fees. Saves an average client almost $4,000 on a transaction. Customer service, unbelievable. Text, call anytime.
As I know, as a real estate agent, Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, folks.
NMLS number 226715.
JC's Wayback Machine.
Monday is the 5th anniversary of the passing of the great Eddie Van Halen. What was it like to live with him? Actress Valerie Bertinelli is going to answer that question.
He's a sweetheart, but I just can't live with him. And he would say the same thing about me.
Plus, great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s. And don't forget about JC's Sunday showgram from 7 to 9, followed by the podcast, and brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine every Saturday night, 6 to 9, on News Talk STL.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A government shutdown has ensued with no agreement in sight. Vice President J.D. Vance says the administration will have to take extraordinary steps if the shutdown does not end soon.
Let's be honest. If this thing drags on for another few days or, God forbid, another few weeks, we are going to have to lay people off. We're going to have to save money in some places so the essential services don't get turned off in other places.
The White House and Congress failed to strike an agreement to keep programs and services open. At issue are tax credits that have made health insurance through the Affordable Care Act more affordable for millions of people since the COVID-19 pandemic. New developments in President Trump's legal battle to fire a Biden-appointed Fed governor.
Federal Reserve Board member Lisa Cook will stay on the job for now. In a brief order, the Supreme Court declined to act on President Trump's emergency appeal, seeking to immediately remove her from her job at the central bank. The High Court will hear arguments in her case in January. The president's attorneys have accused Cook of mortgage fraud and argue that even if the alleged conduct occurred before her time as governor, it calls her trustworthiness into question. Cook denies any wrongdoing and has said she will not be bullied. Jennifer King, Washington.
Israel's defense minister has ordered all remaining Palestinians to leave Gaza City, saying it's their last opportunity. Israel's defense ministry said Wednesday that anyone who stays will be considered a militant supporter and face the full force of Israel's latest offensive. At least 21 Palestinians were killed across the territory, according to local hospitals, as Hamas weighed a new proposal from President Trump aimed at ending the war and returning the remaining hostages kidnapped on October 7th. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 43 points, the Nasdaq rose 95, the S&P advanced 22. More at townhall.com.
The anniversary of Israel's October 7th, 2023 terrorist attack is now upon us, and on this date, the world will come together to honor the 1,200 souls murdered and remember those still held in captivity. It's a day to stand with family members whose grief is unconsolable. What happened 2 years ago also unleashed attacks on Jewish people everywhere. These anti-Semitic threats and deadly acts of violence are immense, and they're constant. That's why the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews created Flags of Fellowship. Now, a growing movement, Flags of Fellowship, is a bold way to stand up for what you believe, a way to tangibly support the people of Israel and Jews everywhere simply by planting an Israeli flag. You can join this historic movement by giving just $25 to help plant flags to support the fellowship's work of saving and rebuilding lives in Israel and wherever God's people are in need. To learn more, visit ifcj.org. That's ifcj.org.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Despite the warm to hot days, it's another mild night, waking up to low of 62, some outlying areas into the 50s, but it heats up quickly yet again. Another hot day with a high of 88 degrees, not too humid, partly cloudy skies, very slim chance by late day and evening for a little spot shower. It's nice to hear that in the forecast because we need the rain, but it would be very tiny. Most won't see any rain, no real significant relief there. And then Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 88 degrees. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station.
This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here? As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
One faction in one house of Congress is ready to bring the entire federal government to a halt.
This is a shutdown brought on by the Republican Party.
It is just incredible to me to watch these Republicans putting on their suicide vests.
What we're seeing happen in America right now, I think, is economic terrorism.
They've been called the Suicide Caucus. It's been called a political hostage taking. It's been called political extortion.
The Republicans are saying, give in to us because we would rather shut down the government than extend health care to 11 million people.
Laura Ingraham and Ann Coulter started challenging the president's manhood, and the House Republicans started stamping their feet, and the president decided, no, I'm going to scream and yell and shut down the government.
No one knows what the
Now, that was a montage of media hits of past government shutdowns, but this time around, it's very interesting to hear the national corporate media start to put the blame where it's due. The New York Times, The Hill, The Independent, and The Washington Post, all pretty much, Chris, saying that it's Democrats that actually rejected the funding bill, and that's why the government shut down.
Yeah, it's almost like, we can't put lipstick on this pig. There's a lot of hypocrisy in here, and they're like, Chuck, we can't clean this up for you. Plus, the Democrats like a good fight. They like headlines. They like to sell newspapers and have viewers. I think they're trying to set something up to make Chuck Schumer look weak and have AOC challenge him. I think that would be good for their business, and they like seeing stuff like that. So I think that's a big part of why they're turning on him.
Old guard out, new guard in. And look, the problem that the Democrats are having with this shutdown is it's hard to argue around it because it's very simple it's very simple in its simplicity. The Republicans passed a clean CR, something that the Democrats have advocated for. We played that
13
montage
times
earlier.
they've done it.
13 times, and they've always said do a clean CR. That's what this is. It's a clean CR, and it's Democrats wanting to put this wish list of leftist progressive spending plans into a CR. And I think most Americans are sitting here going, okay, whether or not, so there's probably a group of Americans going, I don't want Democrats spending any more money. And there's probably another group of Americans going, well, I may or may not like some of this spending, but we don't have the money. People know we don't have the money. We are so in debt and so behind with our deficit that $1.5 trillion of new spending, most people can figure out that that's not a great way to run a railroad.
And the Democrats are trying to say that the difference this time around is because of these Obamacare subsidies and healthcare credits. The government is scheduled to send out notices about new premiums in the next week or two. And so that's why they're saying that we need to do a health deal now. Americans' health care is going to go up if we don't do anything. But they don't continue that by saying that these premiums don't go into effect, if they do go up, until the end of the year. So you still have a couple of more months to negotiate this. It's not that these premiums are going to go up next week. Of course, they won't tell you that. One thing that's very funny too, Tim, is of course the Democrats always play the race card, and they are playing that. I don't know if you saw, the president put out a couple of AI videos yesterday of the driveway press conference between Schumer and Hakeem. Trump did an AI thing where Hakeem Jeffries has a sombrero on his hat, and they're playing Mexican music and put a mustache on him. And Hakeem got kind of pissed off about that and said, if you're going to be racist and say stuff, say that to my face next time in the Oval Office. And then the president came back today and did a similar video, but this time it's him. It's like 3 or 4 President Trumps, and he's playing like a big Mexican guitar. He's blowing like a horn, and it's playing Mexican music in the background. And Hakeem again has the sombrero and the big mustache.
Yeah, truth hurts.
Trolling.
I guess. Yeah, truth hurts, and he's the master troll. And this is the truth. Democrat, and there is actually a really great extent. If you want to know exactly what Democrats are advocating for, one of Speaker Johnson's senior staffers, I think her name is Athena with an I. She did an extensive Twitter takedown of what the Democrats are proposing. She quotes chapter and verse of what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is take provisions out of current law to allow illegal aliens to access U.S. healthcare. That's exactly what they're trying to do. And as far as Obamacare goes, yeah, Chris, they're worried about those premium notices coming out because it'll prove the point. And Republicans should, what do they always say? Republicans pounce. Republicans should pounce on this. Obamacare has been an abject failure.
Yeah.
It has not lowered healthcare costs.
And as I said, unfortunately, these Obamacare subsidies, they're not going to die. They are going to be continued, but Republicans want to reform these Obamacare subsidies, because what I read and heard, Tim, that there's no limits on them. You could make $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, and you can be eligible for Obamacare subsidies.
They don't want work requirements.
Exactly.
They don't want income thresholds. They don't want anything. DC Democrats want government to be in every aspect of your life. They want government to run every aspect of your life. And I think most of us out here in the hinterlands, known as most of America, we want less government in our life. We want the government to do what Pete Hegseth talked about yesterday, and that's have a great military, secure borders, and the ability to pursue the American dream. I think that's what most of us want.
And Ronald Reagan has a very famous line where he says the closest thing to eternal life on this earth is a government program. And these Obamacare subsidies are just that. These subsidies were extra subsidies, that's what they call them, for the pandemic, so that people could have health insurance during the pandemic so they could get treated. But they were never expected to continue. Once the pandemic was over, these subsidies were supposed to be eliminated. They did not. The Democrats see this as a winning political issue for them. And so that's why they are continuing to push for these subsidies that aren't really needed anymore.
Can you believe that here on October 1st, 2025, we are still talking about COVID era government assistance?
Yeah.
Amazing. The pandemic started. Well, I think the first news report we got, I remember I was actually in DC and I was getting ready to head into the city, and something popped up on the television in it was late February of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But the pandemic probably actually was here. The virus was probably here in the fall of 2019. So 6 years later, the Democrats want COVID era government expansion to continue, I guess, forever.
Yeah,
I guess forever.
You're exactly right, because I was at the White House for the Black holiday, Black Month reception, and it was held on the very last day of February. And that's when the president was talking about, we're doing everything we can to stop this. It's not widespread yet, and all of that. So you're correct. The end of February is when it started. And Becky and I were actually in Disney World a couple of weeks prior to that, and that's when the world was starting to shut down then.
Indeed. We've got Mark Sutherland coming up at 5:25. He's, of course, the founder of Stone Ledge Distillery. We'll be talking Stone Ledge Distillery, the Churchill Cigar Room, Inversion Vodka, Stolock Whiskey, and Mark's interesting past. He is an expat He's a very proud American now, but actually, I think he has dual. I don't know if he has dual citizenship or what. We'll have to ask him about that. He's the honorary consul of the UK to Missouri, so maybe he's a dual.
What does that mean?
Maybe he's a dual. We're going to find out. I don't know exactly what all he does with that. He's basically a Renaissance man.
He is a Renaissance
kind of like James
man.
Bond. Yes, indeed. So we'll talk to Mark Sutherland at 5:25, and then Dr. Alan Link. He will be joining us at 5:45 to talk about all things Dental Link and more. 5:15 here in the Heartland. And it's time to get to today's Speaker Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Everything Democrats say, the opposite is true. But in this situation, what they're saying is literally getting people killed. I mean, dysfunctional DC Democrats are now actually targeting Americans. They become the anti-American, godless commie Marxist party. I'm sorry to issue the harsh words, but they really have. Great piece for today's Speaker Stump Speech in the Washington Times, WashingtonTimes.com. Democrats shout fascist while behaving like brown shirts themselves. Louisiana Governor Huey Long, Democrat and Depressionary and populist, predicted in 1935, and this is a fascinating prediction from 1935. Huey Long said, "When fascism comes to America, it will come under the guise of anti-fascism." That's today's Democratic Party. The prophecy is coming true before our very eyes. This year, Democrats call every single person who disagrees with them a Nazi or a fascist, while they themselves facilitate evil. Goofy Minnesota Governor Tim Walz charges that President Trump is a fascist to his core. Former Vice President Kamala Harris agrees. Illinois Governor J.P. Pritzker, AOC, and the silver-tongued Jasmine Crockett call Mr. Trump a Timu Hitler. They're among the Democrats who have twisted reality to reach the preposterous conclusion that the twice-elected president of the U.S. is der Fuhrer. Little aside by me, if Donald Trump was such a fascist, then why did he just win the popular vote? I guess they mean that a majority of Americans must be fascist too, but that's today's Democratic Party. Back to the piece. Not just Mr. Trump, but also his supporters, as I just said, are smeared in this ugly fashion. President Biden warned that MAGA Republicans are a threat to democracy during a very bizarre 2022 Independence Hall extravaganza, eerily reminiscent of the 1930s Nuremberg rallies with its lurid red lighting. Charlie Kirk's assassin wrote on one of his bullet casings, "Hey, fascists, catch." Like Kirk, fascists were famous for their eagerness to debate critics. As a clone of Adolf Hitler, Mr. Trump in reality fails miserably. President Trump never tried to sabotage the democratic process, unlike Democrats, who worked to keep his name off the ballot in several states in 2024 and used lawfare to keep him off the campaign trail. Mr. Trump doesn't ignore the courts, unlike his predecessor, Joe Biden, who proceeded with student loan forgiveness after the Supreme Court told him several times, I believe 3, that it was unconstitutional. Unlike so many of our other recent presidents, Mr. Trump has actually kept his oath of office by securing the border. After there was an invasion of nearly 7 million, and I think that number's low, that entered illegally under Joe Biden. By declaring Antifa a major terrorist organization, Donald Trump is moving decisively against a gang of thugs that pose the same threat to America that the brown shirts did to Weimar Germany. Antifa goons, what do? They attack police and immigration officials. They beat opponents and turn our cities into war zones. Another leftist insurrection was the 2020 riots. 20 dead. You never hear about that, do you? 20 dead and $2 billion in property damage, which the president's critics ignore or, in some horrific cases, actually applaud. The left is following a script written in the 1930s when communists started calling their opponents fascists and presenting themselves as the only alternative. In reality, the two ideologies, and I talked about this a number of weeks ago in a similar Speaker Stump speech, the two ideologies of communism and fascism, they're actually first cousins. They're the same poisonous fruit from the same rotten tree. Both reject capitalism for what? Planned centralized economies. Not for nothing were the Nazis actually called the National Socialist Party. Each believe the interests of the individual must be subordinated to the collective. Italy's fascist dictator, Mussolini, declared everything within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a liberal icon, admired Il Duce until Mussolini became an ally of Hitler. Mr. Trump wants to reduce the size and scope of government, not expand it like the fascists and the communists do. He wants less taxes and regulation and more private control of the economy. That's the exact opposite of fascism. So the MAGA crowd are Nazis, huh? Nazis who support private ownership of firearms? On coming to power, Hitler infamously confiscated guns from his enemies. Former Congressman Beto O'Rourke said, hell yeah, we're going to take your AR-15. That's more fascist than anything Donald Trump has ever even thought of doing. I'm afraid the left has us dead to rights. Apparently we're Nazis when we want less government. Apparently we're Nazis who believe parents should control their children's education. And apparently we're Nazis who actually support Israel, the Jews, and abhor anti-Semitism. Hitler would have had us expelled from the National Socialist Party. Nazis and communists weren't polar opposites, but rather rival gangs that started from the same premises. Democrats think conservatives are fascists because they don't understand fascism, and they never understood us. We are the true heirs of Democrats such as Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, Harry Truman. You would say kind of the original classical liberals. The most visible Democrat in America today is socialist candidate for New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani, a avowed Marxist communist who wants to globalize the Intifada. His words, not mine. Democrats have become the party of statism, group rights, and lawlessness, while conservatives remain true to the principles of the founding fathers. At a memorial for Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk said she forgave her husband's killer. Well, apparently fascists are all about forgiveness. California Governor Gavin Newsom says immigration enforcement agents are like the Gestapo. Last week, a gunman shot up a U.S. ICE field office in Dallas, killing one detainee and wounding 2 others. Assaults on ICE agents, get this, are up more than 1,000% from over the same period last year. If they had any decency, which they don't, Democrats would stop the insane name-calling. Loose accusations of fascism are now actually getting real people truly killed. And that's the Speaker's stump speech for today.
Exactly.
Everything they say, the opposite's true, Chris.
Exactly. And in their minds, because the president is calling out National Guard troops because they're attacking ICE facilities and government buildings, that's fascist. And their mayors and the governors aren't doing anything about it. That's the president's responsibility, is protect the citizens of the United States and government property if the local leaders don't want to do that. That's not fascism to me. That's the president upholding his duty.
It's a fun little word for them to use.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
they don't even know what it means.
You're right. Unfortunately, most Democrats have never cracked a history book, so they do not know everything I just said. That was a short little 3-minute article that would explain everything you should know about the roots of fascism, communism, and Marxism. Democrats have no idea what their history is. They just want to live in the present.
Yeah, one of my Democratic high school friends put up a definition of Marxism, which she should have put where she cited it, because I know she didn't write this herself. And I was going to ask her that, but I don't want to engage with them and argue with them. I was like, is that your definition, or did you get that from Mother Jones?
Mm-hmm, probably,
which is a very
so.
left-wing magazine for those of you who aren't familiar with Mother Jones.
Mm-hmm. Or HuffPost or something like that. We know all these things, so you don't have to. 5:22 in the PM. We've got a whole host of guests standing by. We're going to bring Mark Sutherland of the Stone Ledge Distillery into the studio next, and maybe we'll get a little tipsy. Yeah, indeed, with Mark Sutherland.
He's here.
Yeah, I hope so. And Dr. Alan Link, he'll sober us up at 5:45. We're going to talk to the good doctor about how important it is to have very good health all over your body, including your mouth. That's next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Despite the warm to hot days, it's another mild night, waking up to low 62, some outlying areas into the 50s. But it heats up quickly yet again. Another hot day with a high of 88 degrees. Not too humid, partly cloudy skies. Very slim chance by late day and evening for a little spot shower. It's nice to hear that in the forecast because we need the rain, but it would be very tiny. Most won't see any rain. No real significant relief there. And then Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 88 degrees. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
London calling to the faraway towns. Now war is declared and battle come down. London calling to the underworld. Come out of the cupboard.
There's a new option for St. Louis travelers. St. Louis Lambert Airport is getting a new international flight direct to London.
This is the first nonstop flight to London in more than 20 years. And city leaders say the flight is expected to bring in $50 to $100 million in revenue for St. Louis. The plane will be a Boeing 787-8 fleet and offer flyers a choice of 3 cabins to choose from, with fares starting at $599.
Hey, not bad there.
That's a good price.
Yeah, Mark Sutherland of Stone Ledge Distillery. When are we going on a field trip? Hop across the pond together.
I think we need to hop across. I've done a few trips like that.
I bet you have.
I've traveled with the governor before, the previous governor. We're going to hopefully take the current governor over to Missouri or over to the United Kingdom shortly. But it was a fantastic announcement this morning. I was privileged to be there. And as they unveiled that starting April 19th, there will be 4 flights every week between St. Louis and London Heathrow.
That's cool.
So back and forth. And it's kind of cool for me because my first visit to America was a direct flight from London to St. Louis.
Was it on TWA or British Airways?
It was on TWA at the time. That went away in 91.
Yep.
And we've been having to go through Chicago and Charlotte ever since. So absolutely thrilled. We got some trips planned next year already to go and enjoy that single hop.
That's
across the
fantastic.
pond.
Well, before we get deep into our Stolock whiskey here, let's introduce you to our audience. I've heard you throughout News Talk STL Nation. I think you were on Mike Ferguson's show maybe the other day, or
I'm sure
Nick Porcelli, or all of them.
Yes.
So tell the Jones and Arps crew who is Mark Sutherland and what are you up to these days? Give us the short Cliff Notes bio here.
I sling whiskey and vodka, so everybody likes when I show up. I get to represent the British government here in the state of Missouri. I've done that since 2017. So I officially represent the Crown in Missouri, whatever that means. Government visits, trade missions, business relationships, announcements of direct flights to London, things like that. I also just got appointed to the Missouri Tourism Commission.
Very cool.
I've been a huge advocate of everything Missouri has to offer ever since moving here in 1989, and absolutely fell in love with the state, everything about it, including the Ozark Highlands. And I've been encouraging people to come visit for a long time. So I'm thrilled to be able to serve on the Missouri Tourism Commission. I do a few other things as well. Brag about downtown St. Louis, which is really got a turnaround going right now. And really, everybody likes me because of the whiskey.
Indeed.
That's it.
My wife and I, we had our first trip to Great Britain in July. Had a great time, and it was sunny the entire week. It's usually cloudy over there, right?
It's got a tendency. I mean, growing up, I remember it being cold, wet, and miserable.
Right.
But in reality, it's got some really nice days.
All right, tell us about the Stone Ledge. I keep always wanting to say Stonehenge, of course. Was that on purpose?
No.
All right.
Actually, so it's called Stone Ledge because there is a massive stone ledge that stretches from mid-Missouri down to mid-Arkansas.
Okay.
It's called the Ozark Highlands. So a few years ago, a few of us were sitting around drinking. One of the guys is our.
That's when all great ideas.
It actually, yes, every good story. No good story was like we were having a salad. It's every good story is like we're having a whiskey or we're having a beer, and so we were sitting around with this crazy idea. Just started learning about the Ozark Highlands and the 200+ year history of the Ozark Highlands and the distilling history, and we thought, hey, it would be a crazy idea to start up a distillery and really lean into this and really brag about these incredible spirits coming out of Missouri. And the next morning, it still sounded like a good idea. So we started looking into it, did a lot of business development, talked to some investors. And then a few years back started working with our contracted distiller, who actually owns his own distillery, but we contract with him to produce our stuff as well. And started, aging and bottling. And we launched our first whiskey, this flagship Stolock whiskey, in December of 2022. And then in 23, we launched our inversion vodka in Missouri and Florida. And then in late 23, we launched our first single barrel reserve whiskey, which is a barrel proof 10-year whiskey. And we've been growing ever since. So slowly expanding. We're all across Missouri, all across Florida, entered a few other states. We're in the United Kingdom right now. And we just won the #1 small batch bourbon in Asia.
Hey, congratulations. That's fantastic.
We're getting accolades, and ultimately it means people are enjoying it.
Absolutely.
And people like it, and it's good quality. And it really says Missouri makes really good whiskey. And we're not the only distillery out there making really good whiskey. And so Missouri has a story that hasn't been told, and we're getting to tell that story now.
That's really cool. So, Mark, now you have a location to showcase many of your products called Stone Ledge Distillery. So tell us about Stone Ledge, the distillery, the location, the physical location in Defiance, where we're going to be broadcasting from live. We're very excited on Friday afternoon. We want everybody to come out and visit us. Tell us a little bit more about that and your plans for that. And tell us a little bit about Stolock and what people are supposed to take from this expression. And it's delicious, by the way. I've had it before.
That's key number one.
I've had it before, and I remember why I liked it, and it's really great. So tell us a little about Stone Ledge and tell us a little about Stolock.
So Stone Ledge Distillery, we're in downtown Defiance, Missouri. We're in actually what was the original tavern in Defiance. It was opened in 1893, and it's been a drinking establishment ever since. Well, during Prohibition, it was a post office. So there's no drinking going on in the post office. So we took over a year or so ago. We bought it from the previous owners, and just it used to be a dive bar. And we spent 6 months just making it nice. So now you walk into a historical looking cocktail and martini lounge. And we have a separate area with air handling and such for cigars.
Very
So
cool.
we have our cigar room. We also have an outdoor patio that we're actually in the process of seasoning, but right now it's simply an outdoor patio with our live music stage. So we have live music throughout every weekend. And you can come and you can enjoy Stolock and inversion in either neat or as a simple pour or in a cocktail or martini, but also enjoy a whole lot of Missouri. So we not only celebrate what we do, but we celebrate what other Missouri distillers do as well.
Oh, that's great.
So we've got Blacksmith from Lohman, we've got Blackshire, Herman Farm, and Polly's from over in Herman. We've got the stuff that Nobleton's makes, so Le Bon and People's Gin, things like that. So we're really leaning in and celebrating. Bearwood Spirits is a new one we just picked up, which is fantastic. They have a really good rum, but really celebrating Missouri, one drink at a time. We also do local craft beers there. So Billy Bush, we have a bunch of Billy Bush's stuff. We have Good News Brewing's products, and then Missouri wines as well.
That's really awesome.
Just the good ones.
That's really great.
Mark, let me ask you this. My wife, for her 50th birthday, we went to Kentucky and we did the Ozark Bourbon Tour. And I didn't really realize this or know this until we started drinking the different bourbons, that you have different tastes that are within them. Some will say that you may get a caramel flavor or a nutty flavor or chocolate. What would you say with Stolock? What type of flavors do you
So
get out of the
I
whiskey?
mean, it's subjective.
Right.
It's absolutely subjective. I say caramel.
Okay.
Tiny little bit of honey. As you get older, so our mash on our flagship is 55% sweet corn,
Okay.
heirloom seed sweet corn, 40% honey wheat, which is an heirloom varietal grown near Colombia, and 5% malted barley. So you get that caramel and that honey, but you also get a slightly Scotch feel, even though it's very substantive like a bourbon.
Gotcha.
So we find a lot of Scotch drinkers who are like, hey, I don't drink bourbon, I don't drink American whiskey, but I like yours.
Mm-hmm.
And then bourbon drinkers, so it is a bourbon, even though
Right.
we don't call it a bourbon, and we lean into the Ozark Highlands, so it is a bourbon. And Irish whiskey guys are like, that's really good too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it touches a lot of it, and I think the key, well, I mean, ultimately the key is our incredible distiller, our contract distiller, who he's a 9th generation distiller. He's been doing it his entire life. He knows what he's doing, and he takes the time to do it right.
It is a really amazing expression, and I think you're right. It does have an intersection, I think, to it, because I started off as a single malt Scotch whiskey drinker.
That's where I started.
Yeah. Well, maybe I probably had blends in college. I probably drank. I was probably a Dewar's. I was probably a Dewar's and a what's the competitor? Not Jack Daniels. I'm thinking of something else. I'll think of it in a minute. We drank that, right? We drank the blends, and then we got into the single malts, and it was fantastic. And then I found out about American whiskey, bourbons, and I like them both at different times of the year and all that.
Exactly.
This is a nice. It really is it's kind of almost whatever you want it to be, but it is delicious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do 48 days closed container fermentation, and we do non-chill filtration.
Okay.
So what that means, it's going to be really smooth.
Okay.
And it's going to have a really good mouthfeel.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the bigger guys, they use chill filtration. They strip out all the fatty acids, because if you don't do that, you might get some clouds floating in your whiskey.
Okay.
And that most people think there's something wrong with my whiskey. Well, actually, if there's clouds floating in your whiskey, that means there's a good concentration of fatty acids, which means it's probably going to be one of the better bottles you've ever had.
Oh, okay.
So don't freak out if you see clouds.
Okay.
And even don't freak out if you see little black things. That's just the char.
Yeah.
Just what they do
That's the char that actually came through the filter. It means it's been lightly filtered, which probably means it's pretty good.
from the barrels.
Yes. Yeah. Occasionally you'll get little black floaties in a whiskey, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's been sitting next to that char for 4 to 10 years already. It doesn't hurt it to have it in the bottle.
Gotcha.
Mark, the Missouri legislature has denoted that you have an Ozark Highland Spirits is a protected class.
Correct.
Tell us what that means. And the recipe goes back to 1761.
So yeah, our recipe for Starlock 1761 came to the Americas with our distiller's family.
Okay.
The yeast actually comes back from that time as well. It's a continuous yeast strain from Scandinavia. But when we started getting involved in this and realized there was this incredible history, we started talking to various people in Missouri state government. Nick Schroer was one, former Representative Doug Grier was another, and started working on, all right, how do we do what Kentucky has done, what Tennessee has done, what Scotland has done with a protected category of spirits, so we can make sure that the very first taste of an Ozark Highlands whiskey that somebody has is going to be good. So we looked at all the standards, and we kind of raised the standards a little.
Yeah.
So Missouri law, for it to be an Ozark Highlands whiskey, minimum aging is 4 years, which is longer than most. It's got to be in a Missouri made barrel.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be brand new. So it could be a bourbon, which requires brand new barrels, or it could be something else, which doesn't. And then the water has to come from the Ozark Highlands. It has to be natural limestone filtered water. And you have to test that water for chemicals. You can't have any chemicals in the water, and you can't add any chemicals later, like glycerin for smoothness, for example.
And the reason to do all this, Mark, I would assume, is to make Missouri a destination like they've done in Kentucky. I mean, they took something that was almost a dead and dying thing, bourbon whiskey, right? It was something that your grandparents drank a long time ago.
They were dumping it.
Yeah, it was worthless, right? And now it's come back. So we're like, hey, us hillbilly distillers, we know how to make moonshine and stuff, and now we need to make it the right way and make it good, and then we can build a whiskey trail here in Missouri as well, right? Is that kind of the plan?
That is the plan. So we've started to see Missouri distilleries start to get committed to the aging process in recent years. Used to be a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, and that was about it, because they needed to get it out and make money.
Sure.
Well, now you've got people, some people in the Ozark Highlands like us and Nobletons, or Herman, the Herman distilleries. They're committed to 6 years, 5 years, 8 years. Ben Holiday over in the Kansas City area, they're Riegers. They're all aging stuff, which is going to get you a better quality product. But this last legislative session, Missouri passed legislation that allows signage to now go up on major highways and major roads as you enter the Ozark Highlands from all directions, to really just ramp up the visibility of it. If you look at the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, 2 distilleries on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail have the same amount of revenue as the entire industry in the state of Missouri.
Wow.
So we've got our pie can get much.
So you're saying
bigger.
we have room to grow.
We have room to grow, and I think we can do it.
Sure.
So we have the quality. We've been making whiskey almost as long as Kentucky in the Ozark Highlands. They were named that in 1819 by the federal government. They've continued to call it that, and it's just we've got everything. And Kentucky and Tennessee and Scotland use Missouri white oak barrels.
Right. That's true.
So we have the climate, the history, the production, and there are barrels. So we actually have a better story than all these other locations. We just haven't told it to the degree that it needs to be told.
Indeed.
Speaking of the barrels, what degree of char do you use for Stolac, and what is the proof of Stolac?
So there are certain things we don't talk about.
Okay, all right.
It is well charred and toasted.
Okay.
The proof on our flagship is 100 proof.
Okay.
And then it's not really a reason. The only reason is our distiller likes to drink it over ice, so he's not going to go below 100. I agree with him.
It's got a little bite to it, but it's good.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Our single barrels are going to be anywhere from 108 to 120.
Okay.
But again, because of the fermentation process, it drinks cooler. It doesn't drink as hot as you'd expect. You get the spice on the tongue, you get heat in the chest, but you don't get the scientific term of which is ow in the throat. It doesn't burn. You get warmth, but you don't have pain.
Let me ask you this: once Stolac is in business longer, do you plan on having like 18 and 20 year whiskey?
Oh, absolutely. So we got an 11-year-old that's just about to come out.
Okay.
We actually, this is in conjunction with the Spirit of St. Louis Air Show.
Okay.
So it's going to come out in the next couple of months, and it's going to be available at our tasting room in Defiance.
Cool.
It'll be $100, but 100% of that $100 goes to the Air Show, which does an incredible job every couple of years in inspiring youth towards STEM careers and putting on a phenomenal air show. So that'll be available. So that'll be our first 11-year. And then as things progress, we'll be doing older stuff as well.
That is fantastic.
Excellent.
Mark, I know we have another million questions for you. I want to ask you a bunch of stuff about the UK, but we're just going to have you back sometime.
Sounds good. Anytime.
We got to get to the good Dr. Link. So we're going to let you go for now.
Best dentist ever. I've used him for years.
Excellent.
He's my dentist as well.
StoneLedgeDistillery.com. StoneLedgeDistillery.com. Mark Sutherland, he's got his own website. Mark, is that an I in there? Mark, is
yes, that is.
Yeah.
Mark I. Sutherland.
Mark I. Sutherland. MarkISutherland.com. Or on X, and
also the website.
Also the website, StoneLedgeDistillery.com. Chris and I and Joey and Mark will be at Stone Ledge this Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Come out and see us.
Absolutely.
And have a little pour indeed. Mark, we'll see you again soon, my friend.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you indeed. Chris, we've got Dr. Alan Link coming up next of the Dental Link. We're going to talk about dental care and so much more next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Quit holding out and draw another breath.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Despite the warm to hot days, it's another mild night, waking up to low 62, some outlying areas into the 50s. But it heats up quickly yet again. Another hot day with a high of 88 degrees. Not too humid, partly cloudy skies. Very slim chance by late day and evening for a little spot shower. It's nice to hear that in the forecast because we need the rain, but it would be very tiny. Most won't see any rain. No real significant relief there. And then Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 88 degrees. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Government shutdown in full swing. Does Nate still have a job? Nate Lucas still working? I guess we'll find out. Thursday morning at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers, sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Hey, folks, it's Jamie Allman here for the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway. I love this team so much, and Rodney and Jen love the team so much, I became a member. So now I'm an agent with the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, and I can tell you, as a matter of fact, that we're going to get you into a home really super easily and with the lowest cost you're ever going to find, and make sure we find you that dream home. We're also going to list your home and get the top dollar for your home. I'm telling you, Rodney and Jen love this business. You can tell it is infectious, and I'm so happy to be a real estate agent there with them. 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD. Whether you are buying your home or selling your home, I'm telling you what, the costs are going to be absolutely totally minimal, but the professionalism and getting the job done for you is going to be 100%. The Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
This morning, a major change coming to one of the country's biggest retailers. Walmart announcing it will eliminate synthetic dyes from all its store brand food and drinks, including popular labels like Better Goods and Great Value, the nation's largest consumer product food brand. The move comes after the FDA called on food makers to phase out artificial colors. That deadline was originally the end of next year, but the FDA now saying it's the end of 2027.
5:46 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, and we are honored to have, and I'm especially honored to have my dentist in studio with us, Dr. Alan Link of the Dental Link. You've heard me talk about about his dental office here for many, many years, and it's glad this is your first time at the studio, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, cool.
You know, before we get into all the other stuff, you know, I talk often about mini dental implants, and you have been kind of the pioneer of mini dental implants. Tell people exactly what that is and how they're not like the traditional implants.
Well, the nice thing about the mini dental implants is that they're a lot less invasive, less costly, and easier to work with. So for a patient who has an ill-fitting denture, a lot of times we can just place those the same day and refit that denture right over them. And they just walk out the same day.
Well,
so you can't do that with a lot of traditional dentures, a lot of traditional things. And you have a lot more variety of things that you can do with them versus some of these other things that are advertised out there. They're putting you into one or two tunnels.
And the one thing that I like and talk about often is the cost. Traditional dental implants are way more expensive than the mini dental implants, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's not just the less invasiveness. Yeah.
Excellent.
Less invasive on the pocketbook.
Dr. Link,
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. You know, some of the biggest headlines over the last few months have been about health and about health care and all aspects of that. And I know some conservatives are a little skeptical of RFK Jr., but one thing he's brought to the fore is a discussion about what are healthy things to be putting into our bodies. And I'm sure our diets affect our teeth and our gums, don't they? And you can put good things in your body that affect that, or you can put bad things that affect that, right?
Absolutely. And you'd be really surprised how many things that we put in our body that we think are healthy are terrible for the teeth. There are some bottled waters that are very acidic, and the formula for decay is just acid, sugar, and bacteria. Well, we all have bacteria, but if you add anything that's really acidic, you're going to promote decay. And you think you're doing great by drinking the water.
What's a good thing? What are some good things to be eating for good oral and gum care?
Of all things, there are a few cheeses that are anti cavity. They're
Hmm.
cavity fighting.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
I remember you told
So-
me one time when I was at the office, you said, Chris, probably the worst thing you can do for your teeth is to eat like a candy bar or some type of sugar before you go to bed, because that sugar just will be in your mouth all through the night and it just will wreak havoc on your teeth.
So you listen.
I do listen. I do listen.
Absolutely. The worst time to do something is right before you go to bed,
Yeah.
because your salivary flow decreases
Mm.
and all that bacteria and sugars are just sitting on those teeth.
Terrible.
So, yeah. So the best time to do a good job is right before you go to bed.
There you go. There you go.
Dr. Link, I know one of the things that you do a really good job of for our community is helping veterans. Veterans are a group that is often neglected, and one of the easiest things to neglect is your teeth, right, and your oral care. And so you really focus on that, because Chris and I were talking about this earlier. The eyes and the mouth are two of the gateways into the rest of the body, right? And can tell you a lot about your overall health.
It's amazing. They call it, the systemic connection between the teeth and the rest of your body.
Mm.
So the Cleveland Heart Clinics come out with position papers over the years, and now they're saying that, gum disease is causative to heart attacks and strokes and pancreatic cancer.
Oh, wow.
And causative to, or strongly associated with, diabetes and low birth weight babies. So, yeah, there's no question about that. Now, as far as our veterans go, unfortunately, they don't really get a lot of good dental coverage.
Okay.
And so I grew up in a family where I'm 70. My folks were born 1913, 1915, World War II stories. And the big thing is that they never talked about the war until two things happened. My three boys went to school, and one of the teachers at this particular school they wanted them to write a biography. And they encouraged them to write it about their grandparents or an uncle or something like that. So when my kids did that, I learned what grandparents and uncles did in the war. And my mom's family spoke Polish, German, and Russian fluently, so you know where they were behind enemy lines. Really interesting story.
Indeed.
So you grow that up with that kind of family culture, and I never served. It's something that you feel inadequate. You want to help. So that's why I do it personally, and my whole team donates their time.
That's amazing.
And we get oral surgeons to donate their time. It's a group effort. We've been doing it for over 35 years now.
And when is that? That's because last time that you were in the studio, we were down at Union Station, and we were promoting that you have a full day where you work with veterans and help with their dental needs.
Right.
And that's coming up again.
This year it'll be November 14th.
Okay.
We ask everybody to phone the office. So I'd like you to maybe put the phone number on the website or whatever. It's 636-391-7208. We ask that people phone because we want them to come either in the morning or the afternoon. So morning's 8 o'clock, afternoon's 1 o'clock. And then that way we can divvy up the people so that we don't have a bunch of people just waiting.
Right.
And we can manage the crowd.
How many people normally, when you do this annually, do you see? How many veterans do you normally treat?
It's incredibly variable. Some years maybe only 20 or 30, and some years 80 or 90.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, when it was only me, that was wow. That was like going on a mission trip to El Salvador when there was no help,
Right.
because you're the only dentist.
But now you practice with your son.
I do, but I'll make an appeal to the dentists out there. If they want to give me a call, please do. My son got invited to the Invisalign conference, and he couldn't refuse.
Ah, okay.
And I'm left alone.
So it's going to be you this year with the veterans.
It's only the old man.
Well,
So
if anybody wants to help you, we'd be happy to send them your way. Dr. Alan Link of the Dental Link, our guest here this afternoon. Dr. Link, sometimes it's good to remind people of the basics. So daily tooth and gum care. What should people be at a minimum doing every single day to keep their mouth and their gums healthy?
my recommendation would be brush 3 times a day.
electric or non-electric toothbrush? Does it matter?
I'm a gigantic fan of electric toothbrushes.
Okay. What do they do? I have one, so I'm just wondering why I use it,
Well, because some people don't have the manual dexterity.
Okay.
Others don't want to spend enough time. So what you want is something that gives you the most efficiency per minute of time spent. And that's what an electric toothbrush does more than anything. And that's really the bottom line. Flossing certainly is the best thing. Get a water pick if you don't think that you're going to floss much. That's an excellent thing to do. And there are different brands out there on the market now. And then diet, like you were saying, a sugary diet, an acidic diet, soda.
What about the bazillions of different oral rinses? Do you like a certain type better than another? Does it matter? Are they all the same?
I might get into trouble on this, but
we like doing that to people here. Yeah.
I've never been a fan of any mouth rinses with alcohol in them.
Okay.
Because it never made common sense to me. Somebody who is a smoker, so that's adding a risk factor for oral cancer, is going to use a mouth rinse that's alcohol containing, which is another, cancer causing agent. And they use it more often because they're a smoker.
Gotcha.
So other than that, any mouth rinse that you will use, so you got to like it first, like a toothpaste. There are all kinds of good toothpaste. My suggestion is use one that you like so that you use it.
Okay.
Fair
enough.
Dr. Link, when I was in last week for my every 3-month checkup, you told me about another initiative that you are embarking upon. It's regarding Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk. Tell us what your office is going to be doing with that.
This idea came up because, what did our veterans fight for? They fought for our Constitution, our right to free speech. And that's what Charlie Kirk was all about. So what better way to start any dialogue with anybody is with a smile.
Yeah.
And what better way about disarming anybody is with a smile.
Correct.
So if I can give somebody the smile, I mean, that's what I do for a living. If I can give somebody a smile that they're happy about, they're going to use their smile more.
Right.
And hopefully those dialogues will happen instead of violence. And that's why what I thought, we're going to go ahead and give whitening kits out. And I feel I have to charge just the cost for me, because when I did something like this before, people would pick them up for free and then sell them on Amazon. So somewhere around the neighborhood of $25 is what it costs. And we'll give those out. I'll absorb the cost for the first 100.
Okay.
But every single penny, including that first $25, will go to Turning Point.
Excellent.
I feel very strongly that, when you start getting up there in years, you start looking back at your life and a lot of good things. But then when you see somebody who was 31 years old and accomplished so much, like Charlie, you want to help that. And that's what we're all about. If I can do that through dentistry, and I can do that with making people feel that they can smile, goodness sake, I mean, that breaks the ice in almost anything. A blind date, for goodness sake.
Exactly.
I met my wife on a blind date. So maybe I had a decent smile then.
There you go.
You must have had.
Well, I got to tell you one thing. You mentioned earlier that you were 70 years old. And I got to tell you, you look damn good for 70 years old. I did not know you were that old. That's Dr. Alan Link, thedentallink.com, who also practices with his son as well. Tell us where the offices are.
Okay. The office is on Manchester Road between Henry and 141. 14335 Manchester Road. We're called the Dental Link.
Yes.
And so that's thedentallink.com. And our phone number is 636-391-7208. If you do wish to come to the Veterans Day, and that's when we'll do the whitening too. We're going to couple that on that particular day so that we don't get inundated during our regular
That's Dr. Alan Link. You can reach him and get more information at thedentallink.com. Coming up next, Larry Connors USA. Schumer's trying so hard to keep the hard left voters, and a John Birch Society member is trying to keep America on track. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe and have a great evening.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity